afternoon, everyone. I'm Rahul Mistri, founder, principal, Open Atelier, Mumbai. Thank you, Business World, for the speaking opportunity. So obviously, we're quite ambitious, aspiring. We look forward to engage in a lot of projects. However, today's subject is future of design, and hence we've sort of shortlisted a couple of projects that we wish to discuss. However, the point is not the project, but I think the approach towards design. So as designers and architects, we all thrive to sort of dwell into design and try and ensure that the best output is achieved. However, we choose to or we choose not to participate in a few projects that come our way. Today, I'm going to be presenting a couple of projects which are quite unique. Both the projects are heritage and an old mill respectively. The first project that I'm going to be presenting to you is in the heart of Bandra, Mumbai. It's a heritage bungalow called Green Gift Bungalow. So as we all know, in Bombay, there's a lot of development, obviously. However, we're short of space. At the same point of time, when we engage in a project, which is a landmark project, we want to be respectable towards the architecture. So what we essentially want to do is to maybe respect it, reuse it, also try and control the design aspects and the different facets, because we have too many ideas in our mind, but it's very important to sort of balance it all. That's what a true designer is. That's what a true architect is. So hence, we strongly believe that we don't want to really let go of these kind of projects. So let me quickly go to this particular bungalow. I'm sure people from Mumbai cannot miss this bungalow. It's on your way to Carter Road. It's at Waterfield Road, bank opposite Aza. One of our old clients and a very close friend of ours who heads Toast events, he called me and he said, Rahul, I'm going to be moving into this particular heritage bungalow. So therefore, we had to quickly do our diligence about the bungalow. It was made in 1918. It was a beautiful, beautiful space, but then you have to establish an event management company's office there. So we had to quickly look at certain strategies to ensure how we can, sort of fulfill his requirement, at the same point of time justify our role as an architect, as a designer on the project. So obviously, he's taken it up on rental, and it's a heavy rent. So we established a timeline of 20 days only. We designed the space in about 3 days. We identified the key design elements that we wish to integrate into the space. So what we quickly did is we understood the space. Now, so for example, that's one of the rooms which is there. We quickly started sketching. So we named this project the Outline Project. Reason, it's an old building, old bungalow, and hence undulated surfaces. And it's a criminal act to do anything in a heritage bungalow. You don't want to do paneling. You don't want to chisel for electrification. You want to be as bare minimum with regards to respecting it. And hence what we did is we sort of worked out some different wall art concepts for the space. So right from the workstation space to the corridor space, where there were some beautiful rafter ceilings. So that's the original image. Then we sketched out something, and then we further detailed it. So this is how we started, sketching and drawing different concepts into the space. And everything, as you can see, right from the flooring to the ceiling to the doors, the windows, we respected the way it has to be. And that's when we understood that now the concept is quite clear, but then, to really finish a project in about 20 days is next to impossible. Hence, we wanted to stick to the global standards. So we sort of, identified a few brands like IKEA, some more lighting brands, etc., where we could just go, swing by, get the furniture, assemble it, and move on. However, we wanted to ensure that it's a project which is also the reflection of the company that we are working for. So we started looking at all different modular modules which we could have got onto the space. Now, the most important facet or the layer in the entire project was lighting. So obviously, we engaged with brands like Vibia, David Groppe. That is where we wanted to actually go all out because we wanted certain installations to be there into the premises. So we identified that we wanted a plug-and-play lighting system because it's a heritage bungalow. We never want to chisel any walls or, actually abuse the building structure. Hence, we identify a lighting system, which is a plug-and-play, which is via a belt, and we configure the entire lighting system based on these particular lights. So now let's look at the images of the project. You'll quickly see what we've ended up doing in the spaces. So that's the entrance into the premises. So we have a nice, painted logo of the brand. Then we get into the workstation area. You'll see the outline detail of the cornices, the boiseries. So we've sort of flattened it out, but we've still used the right fresh colors to bring the right energy. That's one of the spaces. So like how we've outlined every corner. So that makes it more crisper, because the minute you see any older building, that's where, the finesse lacks. And hence we have, imposed the outlining over here. That's one of the concept rooms. So as you can see, the lighting, again, it's a very clean palette, but I think it's just the right workspace for them to conceptualize and move on. So every area, as you can see, we've sort of experimented with the right lighting. So there are different typologies of lights. There's a diffuse light, there's a grazer light, there's a spotlight. So depending on the activity, we've tried to install all of that. And obviously you have some wonderful, beautiful flooring which existed over there, which is about 100-year-old. Also, you can see the kind of boisery details that we've drawn out onto the staircase. That's the corridor space. That's the pantry space. Now my favorite is the staircase area. So again, in the staircase, what we try to do is, we again wanted a sculptural element there. That's where also they had their wall of fame. And again, what we did is outlined everything, highlighted all the boiseries, had the lights installed in the right format. So that project essentially was to give a little peekaboo on how we can limit ourselves with regards to design and yet try and establish an absolute fine output of the project. We respected that in that particular project. Contradicting to that, this is another project that we just finished about 2-3 months back. It was a large project. It was about a 10,000, 12,000 square feet project in an old mill compound in South Bombay. So this project is very interesting because it is an uber luxury multi-brand European furniture store. And it's one of a kind. It was just launched a month back. So we were engaged on this project last year, and we could identify the kind of space it was. So it was in an extremely rundown state, extremely dilapidated. We had to invite structural engineers on board. We had to fix a lot of it. There was, a constant waterfall from the terrace onto the floor. There were no windows, no plasters. The floors were also in a mess. So this was a space which had about 26 feet height, huge windows, but a load-bearing structure since it was a mill. So that was the kind of state. And then what we did is we eventually realized that the kind of structural repairs that this particular project requires, it's very easy for us as architects to just propose and counter-propose something which is extreme luxury. But then we felt that, we really have to respect not just the client, not just the shell, but also the practice that we have. We sort of conceptualized the entire store in a format that we wanted to conserve the entire premises. Hence, we had a conservationist on board. What we did was we started deplastering everything. So the entire concept was to have at least 5 to 6 different European brands curated there into that particular shell. At the same point of time, to ensure that the windows, the structural members are respected. We couldn't have made the windows larger. Hence, we started crafting an arcade of arches and crowns, which you'll get to see in the images that I'll show you. So obviously, what we had to look at was to establish an international standard. It's a high-end European furniture store. Let's not forget that. So you'll have all kinds of clients and architects visiting this particular premises. We had to be respectful. We had to ensure that the lighting is absolutely correct. It had to be contextual. That was also very important. So, and while we saw the entire structure, we also, at the inception stage itself, we could identify that we wanted to sort of recreate Milan's Brera district here. Because any architect, any designer, or for that matter, any client who goes to Europe, especially to Milan, they end up going to this Brera district, which essentially is a backdrop for a lot of products. So therefore, we had got a pretty good idea of what we want to do. Now, these are the final images of the project. Now, as you can see, what we did is we deplastered all the, most of the walls. So it's all the actual brick, which was 100-year-old. They're all load-bearing structures. As you can see, the two arches above that, behind there's a workstation. So we made some punctures there because the workstation area, we wanted it to be, interactive with the space which is outside. Also, as you can see, the kind of arches for the windows. So we couldn't have changed the windows, and hence we crafted these arches to make it look magnificent in the entire space. Least, and not the last, are the lights. So these are world's biggest Superloop rings. So we sort of sketched out the lighting system in a format where, unlike a conventional way of installing lights, we sketched out these circular Superloops, which had at least 3 to 4 different modules of lights for the furniture store. And we discussed it with a Belgium-based company called Delta. They fabricated it for us in Belgium, sent it out here, and this is how the final output of the project is. So there are about 4 brands at this point of time. There's a fashion apparel brand, there is a uber luxury brand, there's a contemporary brand, some light fixtures brands too. While you're just looking at it, I'll just quickly explain the rest. So obviously, within the entire heritage or the old structure, we imposed a beautiful faceted geometry, which is there, the black box which you saw, which had a swatch room, a lounge room, conference room, etc. So I think the entire point being, the reason we showcase these projects is to also respect the sustainability of the kind of work that we are doing, and hence out of all the other projects, I thought this will be a little more insightful for the audience that we have here. In case you guys have any questions, please feel free to ask me. Thank you.